Buckle up, Buttercup, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, Spider-Man No Way Home. If there's any movie that deserves to be torn apart, it is definitely this one. Okay, before I get started, disclaimer, if you've already seen No Way Home and you love No Way Home and you don't want to know about all the plot conveniences, plot holes, plot armor, the Deus Ex Machinas, forced storytelling, and just outright stupid that was necessary to keep this story going, might I suggest you go somewhere else and, I don't know, you know what? Go watch Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, because apparently now you all love Andrew Garfield. Isn't that interesting? This is why I can't take the geek culture fan base seriously, much less this movie. Because here's the thing about this movie, amongst all the other issues, is that the plot is broken. The plot of this movie is fundamentally broken from beginning to end. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous. Okay, I want to cover this before I actually get to the movie first. Okay, so the plot starts off with the fact that J. Jonah Jameson shows a video, okay, of Mysterio doing nothing more than claiming that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And that's it. That's all it takes. All it takes to let everybody know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is that somebody made a video of it. That's it. Because the movie, okay, knows, because there is nothing in the movie to actually substantiate or prove that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. There isn't. They can link Peter Parker to the drones, but that's it. There is nothing that actually links Peter Parker to being Spider-Man other than a video that was released. So what happens if somebody, let's say Mysterio, okay, never made that video, but some random person goes, hey, I know who Spider-Man is. It's some guy named Jason Malkovich. What? So now all of a sudden everybody's going to go, oh, well, then I guess this Jason Malkovich is now Spider-Man. Nothing to back it up, nothing to prove it, nothing. In fact, this attempt at establishing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is so weak and flimsy and pathetic that if somebody else made a video saying that Flash Thompson is Spider-Man, that would have just as much validity as the claim that Peter Parker is. Because to actually pretend, this is how weak and pathetic this plot is. To actually pretend that they're connecting Peter Parker to Spider-Man, they go, oh, they're now investigating what happened, I believe, in London in Far From Home. What do you mean you're investigating it now? Why didn't you investigate it when it happened? At the end of Far From Home, okay? On the bridge is a dead body of Mysterio and a whole bunch of drones. Did the police not notice that and go, hey, let's kind of figure out what happened? What would they do? See the dead body of Mysterio and go, oh, well, dead body, no problem. All these drones, let's just clean them up. Nobody investigated the death of Mysterio and all those drones months ago or weeks ago or whenever it happened? No. Now they decided to investigate it. Bullshit. Because the only link that the investigation could have possibly, and the only thing it uncovered, was a link between Peter Parker and the drones through Edith, through Tony Stark. That's it. And then the movie ends up having Matt Murdock show up in a cameo and go, yeah, they can't prove any of that anyway. They can't, all of that is useless. The only thing that actually links Peter Parker to anything is dismissed anyway, because the movie doesn't want to talk about it. So now all of a sudden, Everybody knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. No proof, nothing to back it up, like nothing. Because the movie is going, we need everybody to know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, so that way the spell will that way Doctor Strange will establish the forget spell. That's how weak this plot is. That's how nothing this plot is. Then we get Peter, who only goes to Doctor Strange, okay? Not to go to Doctor Strange, hey Doc, could you use any magic to try and help me out here or fix the problem? No. He specifically goes to Doctor Strange to ask him to use the time stone, okay? But apparently Peter Parker forgot that the time stone and the infinity stones and the infinity gauntlet was destroyed. Now, to establish how bullshit stupid that is, Peter Parker, forgetting that the infinity gauntlet was destroyed is the equivalent of Peter Parker going to Happy Hogan and saying, hey, Happy, I got all this problem with MIT. Do you think you could talk to Mr. Tony Stark and see if he could help me out? And Happy going, yeah, but Peter, don't you remember? Tony Stark is dead. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Peter Parker forgetting that the Infinity Stones were destroyed is the equivalent of Peter Parker forgetting Tony Stark died. Do you understand how stupid it is for Peter Parker to forget that the Infinity Stones were destroyed? And then once Doctor Strange reminds him that, the Infinity Stones are gone, that's it. Peter leaves. Then, of course, we have the spell, and we have Peter Parker screwing up the spell. Now, Peter Parker screwing up the spell, changing the things, that's bad enough. But it's the reason he's screwing up the spell is so goddamn stupid. There is literally no reason for him to actually provide those conditions. Because after Doctor Strange casts the spell, Peter can just tell them anytime he wants. After Doctor Strange casts the spell and everybody forgets, why can't Peter just go to Ned and go, hey, Ned, by the way, I'm Spider-Man? Because Ned found out by mistake. He was worried about how Aunt May reacted. Well, that's because Aunt May found out by mistake. You can easily go up to her and you can break it to her easy. So you wouldn't have to go through that emotional trauma again, remember? MJ was what? Already 67% sure that you were Spider-Man anyway? And you're worried that she is, and you're worried, does she only like me because she knows you're Spider-Man? Well, here's a great way of proving it. If she doesn't know and she still wants to be with you, guess what, Peter? It means she likes you for you. So, there is literally nothing to substantiate or actually establish why Peter Parker would change the parameters of the spell in the goddamn first place. He could easily tell them again after he forgets. But the movie needs to establish some way of screwing up the spell. So they have Peter doing some of the most... It's not just that he's screwing it up. It's the fact that there's literally no reason for him to screw it up in the first place. But then we have one of the best lines in this movie, okay? Is because after the spell starts going haywire, Peter Parker goes, basically everyone who knew I was Spider-Man before should still know that I'm Spider-Man. That's everybody, moron! You just literally invalidated the whole point of the forget spell in the first place. The whole idea of the forget spell is to have everybody forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And then he goes, everybody who knew that it was Peter Parker, the Spider-Man, should still know after the spell was cast. You just invalidated the spell. Like, then, of course, he contains the spell and whatever, and then he leaves and whatever. Then we have him on the bridge with the girl from the woman from the MIT, whatever, and then suddenly, right, Doc Ock appears, which is weird because Doc Ock from the other parallel universe was in another part of the city. He was in another part of the city, but just magically appears near Peter Parker. Same thing with Green Goblin. Green Goblin was taken from his universe, but was in a different part of the city, was at Oscorp. But there is no Oscorp in this, and is magically transported near Peter Parker. And I'm going, okay, there's a trend here, because later on, when he gets that news report of, stories about a guy in a green on a glider, you got Spider-Man, swinging to the location as if Goblin is still going to stay, whatever, right? But then he gets to that one spot, and what happens? Electro just suddenly appears near Peter Parker, and then so does Sandman. And I'm going, okay, I get it now. They're appearing near Peter Parker. That's what happens. That's kind of the rule that they're establishing, that they're only appearing near Peter Parker. That because he's like the focal point. He's not the lodestone. He's the thing that's drawing them, and that's why they appear near him. And I'm going, that's fine. That works. That's a great rule. Except the movie goes, there's no rules, because the Lizard doesn't appear anywhere near Peter Parker. Andrew doesn't appear anywhere near Peter Parker. Toby doesn't appear anywhere near Peter Parker. And at the end credits, you have Venom. Venom is apparently in this universe. Okay? I don't care if he's only got a cameo. Tough. The movie's established that Venom is in this universe, and he doesn't appear near Peter Parker. So even when this movie tries to establish a rule, it says, we don't give a rat's ass. We have no idea what we're doing. We're doing whatever the hell we want. So now there is literally nothing to establish. Why did some villains or some of the people appear near Peter Parker and the others didn't? Easy, because the movie said so. Lazy hack bullshit 5th grade writing skill. Bullshit. I'm calling it out. Then we have the fact of it's drawing out people, right, from the various universes who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Well, where's Gwen Stacy? Where's her father? Where's Mary Jane Watson? Where's who else? There's other people that should both Norman Osborns. Both Norman Osborns know Peter Parker Spider-Man. Where are they? Well, the movie couldn't get them. The movie didn't want them in this movie, so that's why they're not here. Bullshit. You have no justification why some showed up and some didn't. You don't get to go, well, they only showed up because we wanted to. Hack, bullshit, lazy 5th grade writing. Sorry, you can't do that. Then we get the fact of, why are they even here in the first place? Because they know that Peter Parker Spider-Man? No, they don't. They only know they're Peter Parker Spider-Man. Because when Doc Ock uncovers, Tom Holland, he's going, who are you? Well, wait a minute. I thought the reason Doc Ock was here was because he knew you were Spider-Man. But then the movie's establishing he doesn't know who you are. So, no, they literally should not be here because they know they're Peter Parker Spider-Man. They don't know that they don't know that Tom Holland Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But don't ask questions. Don't even think about it, because we need these guys here, and this movie doesn't care how stupid or forced it is. Then we skip to the resolution, right? Where the Green Goblin is being cured, and there's these all the rifts are appearing in space, right? The rifts between the multi-universes are being ripped and they're open. And Doctor Strange and Peter goes, "Can you fix it?" And Doctor Strange says, "No, it's too late. They're already here." And then Peter goes, "Well, they're here because of you." And then Peter goes, "Well, if they forget I exist, will that work?" And Doctor Strange goes, "Yeah, sure." How? How will that work? You don't just get to say yes because the movie needs you to. Peter Parker might as well have said, "Oh, Doctor Strange, well, if I wear a blue shirt, will that stop them from coming through?" And Doctor Strange going, "Yeah, because the movie needs you to. So yeah, just wear a blue shirt." That makes just as much sense as Doctor Strange going, them forgetting that you're Peter Parker is somehow going to stop them. Because guess what? They're already here. They're already here. But suddenly, so like, think of it as Peter and Doctor Strange are in a house, okay? And outside the house are all the people from all the other multiverses. They're opening doors, they're opening windows, they're coming in, okay? All of a sudden, they forget that they're Peter Parker. They forget Peter Parker exists. They're here, and they're suddenly going, "Okay," and they suddenly disappear. How does them not knowing that Peter Parker exists somehow translate into they now disappear? They're already here, remember? Not only that, how does that stop the rift? The rifts between the multiverse are already there, but somehow making them forget Peter Parker exists and sends them back somehow heals the rips in the fabric of the multiverses. It's amazing how powerful this forget spell is. This forget spell is about as powerful as the Infinity Gauntlet, okay? This forget spell can do whatever the hell the movie wants it to. It's beautiful. But you know what? Let's go with that. Let's go with the fact that, according to the movie, because all the risks and there's all those people, casting the forget spell, or casting the spell that everybody forgets who Peter Parker is, that'll send them back. Okay. Why does that somehow end up sending Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Andrew, Toby, Lizard? Why does that suddenly make them disappear? They're not in the rift. They're not in the rift. They're already on the earth. But the movie goes, we need some way to get them back. So again, we'll make this forget spell be whatever the hell we want it to. Lazy hack bullshit 5th grade writing skill. Okay? And I'm sorry if I offend anybody. I really don't care. It's 5th grade writing skill because it's targeting an audience with, guess what? A 5th grade mentality. Because that's the only way you could get through this movie and not have a problem with it. Okay? Is you literally do not understand or you don't care. Okay? So you pick. Either you don't care that this movie is full of stupid or you didn't notice that this movie was full of stupid. I'm sorry. Okay? So again, and then before Doctor Strange can finish the spell. Now again, Peter goes to Ned and MJ. I'm going to do everything I can to make you remember. I love you. I love you. Then Peter starts swinging away. Why? Why are you swinging away? Stay. Stay there. Have Doctor Strange cast the spell. They're going to go to you. Who are you? And then you could easily explain, I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man, and you could literally resolve the problem. No, you can't do that because that would make sense. And the last thing this movie has any intention of doing is making sense. So the movie, for no reason, has Peter swing away, okay? And where the hell is he going to go? He's on an island. Where's he going to go? He can't swing to the mainland. There's a freaking... this movie doesn't care. This movie doesn't give a shit. The absolute level of forced storytelling and bullshit stupid that is necessary. There is no reason Peter shouldn't have stayed, because Doctor Strange would have gone, who are you? And then Peter would have explained what was going on. He would have been able to explain to MJ and Ned, and he would have had a happy ending. But no, we don't want that ending. We want it so that Peter is independent. Nobody knows who he is. Why? Why? So no, this plot is broken. It is essentially broken, full of plot holes, plot conveniences, plot armor. It's just broken. Okay. Now, having covered that, which is pretty much the majority of the movie, right? Let's talk about some of the other issues. Now, I can end the video right now because I've already established how the plot itself is just fundamentally broken. And here's the weird part. There are so many examples of plot conveniences in this movie and downright stupid that I also wanted to explain how it is literally necessary for this movie to be constantly stupid, constantly plot convenience to actually get this movie happening. But it pales in comparison to the fact that the plot itself is fundamentally broken, that it's not even, I don't even know if it's worth it. Like as an example, right? After it's revealed into the video, right, that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, where does Peter go? He goes home. Why? They obviously are going to figure out your address, moron. Now would have been a good time to go to Doctor Strange because it would have been safe. And you could have gone, Doctor Strange, they know I'm Peter Parker. Can you help me? That would have been a good. Go to Happy Hogan's apartment. You don't know that Happy's at your place with Aunt May. And then he gets to his room, right? And he starts changing. Why? Aunt May already knows you're Spider-Man. Who are you hiding your identity from? You just got revealed that you're Peter Parker. Wouldn't you want to immediately go out and, tell Aunt May? No, you have to have him change so you can have Aunt May go, you safe sex for a stupid joke. Then he finds out that Aunt May and Happy are breaking up. Now, he just got revealed he's Spider-Man. No. I don't want to talk about that right now. That's not really important. We need to discuss your relationship. And then you have people yelling, hey, Peter, hey, Spider-Man. And you have Peter Parker closing the blinds as if that, how am I supposed to take this? This is stupid. This is stupid. Use Edith. You have the glasses. This is supposed to be a genius. Wouldn't he have gone, hey, let me use Edith to try and stop the video? Hey, Doctor Strange, can you erase the video? Hey, here's an idea. Use Edith to destroy all the videos. How's that? You use Edith to, something. What was the other one? Oh yeah. Here's the thing about the claim that the claim of Mysterio saying Peter Parker Spider-Man. All Peter Parker has to do is deny it. If Peter Parker goes, no, I'm not, what are they going to do? There's nothing to prove that he's Spider-Man. That's how weak he's Peter Parker Spider-Man is. All Peter Parker has to do is deny it, and it ends it. It's over. Just get Doctor Strange to have somebody, look like Spider-Man, start swinging and webbing it, and all of a sudden, this belief that Peter Parker Spider-Man is suddenly gone. You could easily have gone to Doctor Strange and have Doctor Strange, create an illusion or a doppelganger or whatever, because he is, the master of the mystic arts. Do something to create a doppelganger of somebody that looks like Spider-Man, swinging through the air, saving somebody, while Peter Parker's right there, and have it filmed and go, oh, look, Peter Parker can't obviously be Spider-Man because they're Spider-Man. Well, no, that would make sense. That would actually work. And this movie has absolutely no interest in making sense whatsoever. But again, these are all little things. And oh, and the same thing with Nick Fury. Why doesn't he contact Nick Fury? Here's the problem with Nick Fury is I have to actually talk about all the brain dead stupid that was necessary to make Far From Home work with Nick Fury that I don't want it to carry over into this. I'll probably make a video covering how stupid No Way Home is. But Nick, okay, I'll cover this. I'll cover this. Peter Parker goes, call Nick Fury. And the guy goes, Nick Fury's has been off world for over a year. How do you know? As far as the world's supposed to know, Nick Fury's dead. Why would Nick Fury tell these investigators, like whatever law enforcement this is, why the hell would they know that Nick Fury's alive? Why would Nick Fury tell them? Because the movie needs them to, so that they can pretend that they could say Nick Fury's been off world for a year. There's no way Nick Fury would have told them. Nick Fury wants everybody to believe he's dead. And this is what I mean by how this movie is literally filled with plot holes and plot conveniences. Because even the throwaway line that Nick Fury has been off world for a year is a plot hole. It's a plot hole. Because first of all, Nick Fury wouldn't have told these investigators, okay, that he's alive. Not only that, why would he have told them that he's off planet? There's no way Nick Fury would have told these investigators, by the way, I'm off planet. What they would have known, they wouldn't have known that Nick Fury is off planet. You want to know why I know they wouldn't have known Nick Fury is off planet? Because there's a Skrull impersonating Nick Fury. If anything, they would have assumed that the Skrull impersonating Nick Fury is Nick Fury. Why would Nick Fury tell these investigators who are nobody, by the way, just to let you know, I'm off planet and there's a Skrull impersonating me. No. Do you understand how everything in this movie, this is what I mean by how everything in this movie requires plot convenience, plot holes, plot armor, deus ex machinas, forced storytelling, and just plain stupid just to get through this movie. Oh, here's another one. You have Doc Ock. Okay, I'm jumping. I apologize. Doc Ock, when he left, when the last thing Doc Ock remembers, okay, because in Spider-Man 2, right, it was nighttime. He's on a barge, okay, and he's on another part of the city, nowhere near the bridge. The next second, he magically appears. It's daylight, and he's nowhere near the barge, and nothing. And Doc Ock apparently doesn't notice this. Doc Ock doesn't go, what the hell happened? How did I get here? A second ago, I was another part of the city, another part of the bridge, of the lake, or wherever he was. And the last thing I know, it was nighttime, and I was in that house or that shack. Now all of a sudden, I'm under a bridge, and Doc Ock, okay, is apparently stupid enough to not realize this or actually care. Bullshit hack writing. Bullshit, okay? And the same thing goes with the Green Goblin, okay? The last thing Green Goblin remembered, right, was being in his house, and all of a sudden he's now magically transported to another part of the city, and he's in full armor. Well, when exactly? Wait a minute. If you took him before he almost died, his armor was ruined and everything like that. His armor wasn't perfect. So when exactly did you actually grab Green Goblin, Doctor Strange, a movie? When exactly did you grab Green Goblin for his armor to be imperfect and clean and undamaged? It had to have been before the fight, which means he was nowhere close to being on death's door when you took him. Not only that, here's another one. If you got Electro was taken because he almost died fighting Spider-Man. You grabbed Green Goblin because he almost died fighting Spider-Man. You grabbed Doc Ock because he almost died fighting Spider-Man. Hey, why didn't you grab Mysterio? You know, who almost died fighting Spider-Man? Oops. What? No, don't ask questions. Don't question it, because that actually, again, that would make sense. That would work. And the last thing this movie has any interest in is making sense. Then, speaking of Mysterio, okay? So, Peter Parker's bullshit, absolute bullshit excuse on not wanting to send them back. Why? Because they almost died fighting Spider-Man. So did Mysterio with you, moron. Mysterio died fighting you. So why is it okay for a supervillain to die fighting you, but it's not okay for supervillains to die fighting other Spider-Men? Isn't there a reason Mysterio died while fighting you, Tom Holland, Peter Parker? Well, guess what, moron? Wouldn't it also apply that that's what probably happened with Doc Ock and Electro and Green Goblin and Doc Ock? Like maybe the reason they died fighting Spider-Man is the same reason Mysterio died fighting you, like it's not even hypocrisy. It's stupid. It's bullshit. I mean, when you have the three Spider-Men, okay, in the lab talking, why doesn't Tom Holland's Peter Parker go, hey, by the way, how do they die? Why do they die fighting you? Well, you can't answer that, because then that would expose how stupid their plan is in the first place. Not only that, if you actually have Tom Holland, Peter Parker asking Toby and Andrew, why do these villains die fighting you? That Toby would reveal, well, see, actually, I ended up convincing Doc Ock, and I got him out of it. And he ended up sacrificing himself, destroying the device. That's why he dies. So even if you cure Doc Ock and you send him back, guess what, movie? Doc Ock will still die, because Doc Ock will still sacrifice himself. And then we have Electro, okay? Andrew would explain how Electro died, how he was being, the electricity was attacking him. So if you actually cure Electro and send him back to where you got him off, guess what? Electro would end up dying. So you can't cure, there's no point in curing Doc Ock. There's no point in curing, if you actually cure Electro, he'll die anyway. Andrew will go, there's no point in having to cure the Lizard, because I already cure him anyway. And there's no reason to cure Sandman, because he's fine. The only person actually curing that has any value would be the Green Goblin. But again, there's no possible way Toby could even come up with the cure, because he has no foundation in which to work with. Then we have Doctor Strange, okay? Who, for the love of God, Doctor Strange, push the goddamn button on the box.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the button.
This movie bends backwards and goes out of its way to never actually have Doctor Strange push the button on the box. Okay, get this. So, the supervillains are all over the place, right? And Doctor Strange tells Spider-Man to go get them. Now, I'm going, well, what are you doing? Why don't you do it? But then it's explained that Doctor Strange, while Peter Parker's doing all of that, right, he's creating the box to contain the spell and reverse it and fix it right now. So Doctor Strange is spending however many hours or whatever doing the spell, creating the box. Now, he spent all those hours or however much time, right? Obviously, it must have been hours because whatever, right? Now, 10 seconds before he's about to finish the ritual, because for no reason, he's creating the box. Now remember, Doctor Strange doesn't give a rat's ass about these people. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the supervillains because he wants to send them back to save the multiverse, okay? So he's 10 seconds away from completing the ritual of the box to be able to send the supervillains back. And for no reason whatsoever, right? Doctor Strange magically portals, right, to the dungeon where all the supervillains are, and then and explains to Peter Parker what he has to do. And then he has the box, and you see all that's left to finish this box, to finish this ritual, is to have it click, 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 and then that's it. 10 seconds. Why the hell couldn't Doctor Strange have done that before? There was literally no reason to come down into the dungeon and like what is part of the ritual that Doctor Strange can't push the button unless he explains it to Peter Parker first? Because every time there's an opportunity to just push the goddamn button, okay, Doctor Strange has a reason to have to explain it to him. Like at the end of the movie, okay, when Ned creates a random portal that just happens to be where Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange goes, I've been hanging over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. Let me see if I get this straight, moron. You've been trapped in Peter's web for 12 hours? Because that's the only way you could have been left dangling. The only way you could have been left dangling is if you were dangling from the webbing that Peter Parker trapped you in your mirror dimension. You're the master of mystic arts. You are the sorcerer supreme. And it took you 12 hours to figure out how to get out of the webbing? And not only that, how did you get out of the webbing? How did you get out? After 12 hours, how did you get out? Because when we open it up, you're free. How did you get out? Don't ask questions. Don't worry about it. So anyway, Doctor Strange comes out of the portal, instantly grabs the box from Ned. Okay? Now, Doctor Strange is pissed. He's mad. He wants these guys gone. Does he push the button? No. First, he's got a portal to Peter Parker and chastise him first. Then he can push the button. It's like, push the goddamn button. It's like Doctor Strange with Infinity War and Endgame. Doctor Strange, use the goddamn time stone. Use it. It'll actually help. And in this movie, it's like, Doctor Strange, push the button. Okay? Every opportunity that Doctor Strange has to actually push the button, he always has to pontificate and talk. And it's like, shut up and push the button. Right? Like when Peter Parker, when he does that 10-second thing of everything, and then he looks at Peter does the webbing, grabs the box, okay? Now, Doctor Strange knows what's happening, right? Just push the button. No, what does Doctor Strange do? He stops, turns to Peter Parker and says, don't, and then Peter Parker takes it. Screw saying don't. You see what Peter Parker's doing. You see that he grabbed the box with the webbing. Push the button. No, can't push the button. That would make sense. That would actually work. And the last thing this movie has any interest is in making sense at all. Then, right, Peter Parker, right, swings out and goes. What does Doctor Strange do? He goes after him. Why? Portal him back. No, we got to actually have a chase scene outside. Then Doctor Strange separates his psychic body or whatever to his physical body, right? Do I even have to explain the literal plot convenience and plot hole of Peter Parker's spirit being able to control his physical form? Doctor Strange himself says that's impossible. And the movie's going, we don't care. We're going to have it do whatever the hell we want. Even with that, Doctor Strange still has the box. Even with Peter Parker controlling his body. Push the goddamn button, you moron. Push the button. Then we to go back, we have Doc Ock, okay, fighting on the bridge. So it's Peter Parker, Doc Ock, and Green Goblin, right? Now, all of a sudden, right, a portal appears, grabbing not only Peter Parker, but grabs Doc Ock. And Doc Ock, hold on. And Doc Ock is instantly portaled into one of the containment units. Meaning, Doctor Strange had to know that Doc Ock was there and had to tailor the portal spell to portal Peter into one area and specifically portal Doc Ock into one of the containment units. Okay, so Doctor Strange, if you can magically know that Doc Ock was there, right? Then why couldn't you do a portal with Green Goblin and instantly teleport him or portal him into the containment unit? You could have done that with Electro. You did it with the Lizard. You did it with Lizard and you did it with Doc Ock. So do it with Electro, do it with Sandman, do it with everybody. Well, no, that would make sense. That would actually work. And this movie can't actually have anything make sense because then you wouldn't have the story. Like, do you understand how broken this plot is? It is fundamentally broken. Nothing in this movie makes sense because it needs to have the story plot it wants, and it doesn't give a damn how stupid it is, how forced it is, the plot holes, the plot conveniences, the Deus Ex Machinas, none of it. This movie is Here's another aspect of how pathetic the plots are with the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man, okay? Because they did it in Far From Home and they did it in this. Here's how you do a Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man plot. At the beginning of the movie, have Peter Parker do an oopsie and then spend the rest of the movie fixing the oopsie that Peter Parker created in the beginning of the movie. Okay? That's how you do a plot for Spider-Man. In Far From Home, what was the plot? Peter Parker does an oopsie by giving the Edith to Mysterio, and then has to spend the rest of the movie dealing with the consequences of his oopsie. What's the main plot of Far From Home? Peter Parker screws up the spell and has to spend the rest of the movie fixing the spell fixing the oopsie he caused. You want to know who you want to know who you want to know who the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man's arch enemy is? Peter Parker. Peter Parker is his worst enemy. Like, if you at least had a villain or a bad guy or an accident have it happen and Peter Parker and Spider-Man have to fix it, that'd be fine. But that's the plot. How do you do a Spider-Man plot with Tom Holland? Have him screw up in the beginning of the movie to cause the problem in the first place, and then spend the rest of the movie having him fix the problem he started in the goddamn first place. In this next movie, I wonder what screw up he's going to cause that he has to spend the rest of the film fixing. Oh, and the thing about MIT, I apologize, I'm going all over the place. I'm just remembering it as I go along. So, Let me see if I get this straight. Ned and MJ are declined going into MIT because they're friends with Spider-Man, right? Okay. Flash Thompson wrote a book admitting and confessing and establishing he's also friends with Spider-Man. Well then, how did Flash Thompson get in? Nobody, it's not like Peter Parker and Ned and everybody else was refuting those claims. So why wouldn't Flash Thompson be just as liable of being rebuked from being able to get into MIT over the controversy as much as MJ and Ned? Well, because the movie doesn't want him to. The movie wants to have that dumbass joke of how the book is called Flashpoint and then go, we're going to actually ignore the actual consequences of him writing that book because all we give a shit about is the joke. Like, oh yeah, the forget spell. I have to cover more about the forget spell because this is how broken and ridiculous this forget spell is, okay? Now, I'm not talking about the forget spell at the end of the movie where Doctor Strange does that overarching Deus Ex, forced plot element where everybody now forgets that Peter Parker even exists. I'm not talking about that one, okay? I'm talking about the beginning of the movie where all he's going to do is cast a forget spell so that everybody, all that happens, it's established in the movie. All that's going to happen is people are going to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Okay? A standard forget spell. Okay? That doesn't work because that version of the forget spell, okay, won't erase all the videos of establishing how Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That version of the spell won't get rid of all the newspaper articles. That version of the spell won't get rid of all the magazines talking about it. So even if Doctor Strange successfully casts the standard typical forget spell that he was going to cast at the beginning of the movie, it wouldn't have worked anyway. It wouldn't have worked anyway because all a person has to do was walk by a newsstand, see an article talking about how Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and it starts all over again. Do you understand? The plot of this movie is fundamental. You want to establish how the forget spell at the end of the movie can do everything that you want it to do, and it can erase all the records and alter reality and everything like that. Fine, I'll give you that one. But guess what? That same logic, that same weak ass bullshit logic, doesn't apply to the first time he was going to cast it because it's nothing but a standard, typical forget spell that caused Wong to forget the party. Okay? He didn't cause the party to not happen. When Doctor Strange cast the forget spell for Wong to forget the party, Doctor Strange, that spell didn't also eradicate the party in the first place. The party still existed. Anybody could still tell Wong about the party. So this forget spell at the beginning of the movie doesn't cause all the newspaper articles to disappear, doesn't cause all the videos to disappear. So even if Doctor Strange successfully cast the spell, it still didn't work. It still doesn't make any sense. But here's the other thing. So he screws up the spell. Right? And he contains it. Okay? Why can't he cast it again? He can easily cast it again. Yeah, he took the corrupted spell, right? He took the corrupted forget spell, contained it. It's over here. Okay, this time, cast it again, but with all the requirements that he had. Why couldn't he do that? Why can't he cast the spell again? Well, he can't cast the spell again because that would make sense. that would work. And this movie has absolutely no interest in doing anything that actually makes sense. Yeah, sure, Doctor Strange may be pissed at what he did, but there's still no reason why he couldn't have done it again and go, well, okay, this is bad. I screwed up and we'll fix this. Yeah, but I still have the problem, Doctor Strange. And it's not like Doctor Strange is insensitive to his needs. He's willing to have done it in the first place. So why can't he just do it again? Because the movie doesn't want him to. You understand? Hack, lazy, fifth grade writing. Oh, and how's this for pathetic plot convenience, okay? So when Doc Ock, right, grabs Peter Parker with one of his tentacles, right? What happens? Without any control or understanding by Peter Parker, the nanotech armor on its own, for no reason other than pure plot convenience, decides that it's going to integrate itself with Doc Ock's tentacles and then suddenly take over. How? How does that work, movie? What do you care? But then, so the movie's established, right, that the nanotech armor, the nanotech suit, can actually take over other electronic stuff, right? Okay. Why didn't why didn't you use that against Green Goblin? Why didn't your nanotech armor just on its own involuntarily go and try and control the glider, the Green Goblin glider, the Green Goblin armor? You did it with Doc Ock. Why wouldn't you do it with Green Goblin? Why didn't you do it with Electro when he powered up his new suit? This is what I mean. The movie creates a rule that the nanotech armor can actually on its own decide that it's going to involuntarily, take over another piece of tech, and then never does it again when it's actually helpful. Explain to me what is in this movie that can even be taken remotely seriously. And please tell me about Aunt May dying, because I know I've been ranting. You want to rant? I'm going to rant about how this is why, excuse me. This is why I consider No Way Home the worst Spider-Man movie, okay? Because it took the very foundation of why Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which is Uncle Ben dying and him saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Because Uncle Ben dies, and because Uncle Ben explains with great power the great responsibility, that is what convinces Peter Parker to become Spider-Man. It is literally the core foundation of Peter Parker being Spider-Man. This movie uses it as a tagline. Okay? It uses it as a tagline. The great power with great responsibility has absolutely nothing to do with Peter Parker wanting to be Spider-Man, which is a core fundamental aspect. No. What does this movie do? It has it that line is used to support that bullshit theory of trying to get everybody back alive. That's what the line that is literally a fundamental aspect of why Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man is used to justify the ridiculous plan of sending them back cured. Okay? Then we have Aunt May's death. Aunt May's death, the reason Uncle Ben's death is actually of any significance is because since Peter Parker failed to actually act in a way to prevent that death, his death is literally the guilt, not so much the guilt, but what makes him want to be Spider-Man and use his power. his death actually has significance and relevance to his origin as Spider-Man. In this movie, she dies just so that you can have Peter Parker want to kill Green Goblin. Okay? I'm sorry, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. Okay? They literally waste the whole concept because even with Homecoming, I think, right? How does he become Spider-Man? Because I got bit by a spider. Why are you Spider-Man? Because the movies went out of their way to try to distance themselves from the actual origin of, the character to have their own twist. Fine. Don't suddenly come 2.5 movies later and decide to incorporate the very foundation of who Peter Parker is. What they did to Peter Parker, okay, with the Spider-Man movies would be the equivalent of in the Batman movie, okay? They kept it the same, okay? Bruce Wayne is Batman, has been Batman for 2 years and all that stuff, right? But Thomas and Martha Wayne are alive, okay? Them dying has absolutely nothing to do with him wanting to become Batman. He becomes Batman because he feels like it. He becomes Batman because he feels like it. And in the beginning of the movie, Martha and Thomas Wayne are alive, and they die, okay, in the third movie. Martha and Thomas Wayne are alive for 2.5 movies, and then they die in the third movie, okay? You fans would be going, that's bullshit. Martha and Thomas Wayne dying is a core aspect of why Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. Having Martha and Thomas Wayne be alive for 2 movies and then have them die halfway through the third is literally desecrating, might be a little bit hyperbolic, but you're shitting all over the whole core aspect of why Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. Well, guess what, boys and girls? That's what this movie did with Spider-Man, okay? That's exactly the same thing. But for some reason, it's okay. You are literally watching the screen and the movie is pissing all over the very core character of Peter Parker being Spider-Man. And you're all going, oh, that was so beautiful. Oh, Aunt made that. I cannot have any respect for this movie, and I cannot have any respect for any of you who claim that you're fans of the Spider-Man character, okay, when this movie literally pissed all over the core character aspect of what made Peter Parker Spider-Man and used it as a throwaway line and a throwaway scene. I mean, if you want, I can keep going, because God knows there's more. When Peter Parker, right, steals the box and escapes, right, Doctor Strange sends them into a mirror universe? Why? Just, you know how remember how Doctor Strange was fighting Ebony Maw, right? And used the magic to confine him and all that stuff? Do that to Peter Parker. Just cast a spell that just kind of captures him and binds him or whatever. Hell, use the spell or do whatever spell it was and portal Peter Parker into one of the containment units. No, let's because we want to forcefully inject a 10-minute scene of an Inception version of the Mirror Universe because everybody loved it in Doctor Strange. We're gonna have Doctor Strange for no reason whatsoever portal them into a mirror universe where apparently Doctor Strange can control everything except actually capture Spider-Man. You're on the train. Use the train to mold on Spider-Man's legs so he can't move around. No, that would make sense. That would work. And there's nothing in this movie that even gives a remote care about making sense. So anyway, right? So he has so he creates the portals, right? Like he did with Loki, right? So that he goes infinitely up and down, right? And then Spider-Man solves it. Does the webbing, he gets it there, and Doctor Strange does a tug of war, okay, with Spider-Man. Okay, now, here, somebody in the comments, any of you defenders of this bullshit movie, explain to me how the two portals, as they're doing the tug of war, the two portals suddenly move towards each other. Why? How? How did they suddenly get closer to each other? Wouldn't they? If Doctor Strange is pulling this way, wouldn't the portals be moving towards him? No, because apparently they're stationary but can go this way. And because they're being pulled, because these magic portals are being pulled, they get closer together. Like, no, I'm sorry. Then, okay, they shatter, everything goes up, and Peter Parker goes, oh, look, it's based off of geometry because he sees the Archimedean spiral. You know what? I'll give you that because here's how the movie knows how pathetic. I'm not going to explain how pathetic it is. I'm going to have the movie show you that it knows how pathetic using geometry and that stuff is, because here's what the movie does. The movie has Peter Parker looking around and going, okay, calculate the radius, divide by pi, right? And then calculate the plot points along the calculate the plot points. He's literally, it's not like Peter Parker went, okay, square the radius, divide by pi, and calculate the plot points. Okay, boom, 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 boom. He's literally already webbing the plot points before he's even done the math to actually figure out where the plot points are in the first place. The movie doesn't care. I mean, even the movie isn't taking the geometry Deus Ex Machina solution seriously because it knows it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't care. If the movie actually cared and wanted to, it's not even pretending to care. If it at least pretended to care, it would have had Peter do the math first, then do the webbing, because it's not like it would have mattered anyway. If you wanted to actually portray that the geometry and the math works, right, have him do the math and then do the webbing. And not only that, so he ends up webbing the plot points. So explain to me how that suddenly controls the Archimedean spiral of rubble and suddenly captures Doctor Strange. It doesn't. All you're doing is calculating the plot points. That doesn't suddenly allow you to control the Archimedean spiral and allow you to web up Doctor Strange. Peter Parker goes, hey, Doctor Strange, you know what's cooler than magic? Math. Hey, Peter Parker, you know what's cooler than math? Plot armor up your ass. Deus Ex Machina up your ass. Because that is exactly what that was, okay? Again, I'm not establishing how geometry doesn't even make sense in this. The movie shows that even the movie knows the geometry Deus Ex Machina solution is bullshit and doesn't even pretend to even try to make it work or be possible. Oh, okay, and then, so all three of them go to that science lab, right? And they're all going to do the cures, okay? And then Andrew goes, oh, I got Connors. I already cured him before. No, you didn't. You had Gwen take the antidote from Oscorp facilities. You have no idea how to do the cure. None. Sorry, Andrew. Sorry, movie. Andrew has no goddamn idea how to actually cure Connors because he had to have Gwen steal the antidote from Oscorp. Andrew has no idea how to do this. Then we have Toby going, I've been working on how to cure Norman Osborn for years. Based on what? You don't even know how he became Green Goblin. You have nothing to base your foundation on a cure. What's your start? Hey, Toby, you want to cure Green Goblin. What's your starting point? What's your starting point? You don't even know. You have no idea what actually caused Norman Osborn to become the Green Goblin. Therefore, you have no idea how to possibly cure him. But why should that matter? That'll just get in the way of the bullshit forced plot that this movie requires to actually get through it. Oh, and then you have the fact that while they're doing this, they've all escaped. What are they doing while they've escaped? They've run rampant. And they could be doing anything. No, who cares? Apparently, they're at a cafe waiting for Peter Parker, okay, to call them and let them know. And here's Peter Parker's plan. They want the box so that it will stop Peter from sending them back. Except you haven't sent them back yet. What threat are you giving them? You're going to threaten them. If you don't come, right, we're going to press the button. But if you don't come, we're still not going to press the button because we want to try and cure you. So why would the supervillain show up? I don't. And then you have Sandman. Now, they're on, I forget the name of the, I apologize, I don't remember the name of the island the Statue of Liberty's on. Okay? How does Sandman get there? How does Doc Ock get there? Who cares? Oh, the fight. When he starts to cure everything, right? At Happy's apartment, right? You have that fight scene between Green Goblin and Peter Parker, right? Now, here I love this. So the SWAT teams comes in. Doc Ock leaves goes out and he goes away. Why does he leave? Why does Doc Ock leave? Why doesn't he come back and help? No, because that would make sense. And then the lizard is in the truck, right? And then breaks free and then escapes, right? Well, no, he doesn't escape. What happens is during the fight between Green Goblin and Spider-Man, the lizard, instead of escaping, for some reason goes, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to go back to the building, I climb up the building to some random floor, and I'm just going to stay there. That's what the lizard did, because when the Green Goblin throws Peter Parker outside, there's the lizard waiting for him. Why is the lizard on the outside of the building? The lizard apparently ripped open the truck, ran off, and then went, screw it, I'm going back. And then you have the fight between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And Green Goblin is kicking Spider-Man's ass, okay? And my one favorite part was, so the Green Goblin grabs Spider-Man, power bombs him through 5 floors. How? When did Green Goblin become so powerful that he could power bomb Spider-Man so powerfully that they smashed through 5 floors? Dude, there's suspension of disbelief, and then there's go screw yourself. Okay? And not only that, so in that fight scene, right, you have Green Goblin. Peter Parker is punching the Green Goblin, and he's laughing it off. So the movie is establishing that how powerful and how durable and resilient the Green Goblin is. Except at the end of the movie, when they have the rematch, Peter Parker's wiping his ass. He's punching him 3 times, and suddenly the Green Goblin is comatose, or he can't fight back. What happened? What happened in the earlier on when Peter Parker was punching him and Green Goblin was laughing it off? Oh, that's plot convenience, because at that part we needed Green Goblin to win, but at the end of the movie we needed Green Goblin to lose, even though Spider-Man had already the blast. Spider-Man is at point zero of the Green Goblin, the Goblin bomb being in the box. He gets that explosion, right? He's been fighting, so he's already wounded. Green Goblin's fresh, but apparently because the movie wants Spider-Man to win, Spider-Man wins the fight. Oh, and another thing about this movie is that the fights are irrelevant because there's no actual after effects or consequences in any in the fight. Like Electro is electrocuting one of the Spider-Men. I can't remember which one, and he's just electrocuting him for like 10, 15 seconds or whatever, right? So and it doesn't actually affect Spider-Man. So if he can be electrocuted for 10, 15 seconds or more, and nothing actually has any consequences for being electrocuted, where's the tension in the fight? I'm just sitting back and going, well, it doesn't really matter what happens because nobody gets hurt in this movie. There's a one scene. I love this scene made absolutely no sense to me. So they're on the statue and the scaffolding, and suddenly Sandman creates a whirlwind of sand around the Statue of Liberty. Why? It doesn't do anything. All it does is allow the three Spider-Men a reprieve to be able to plan. Well, then what was the point? Why was Sandman creating that whirlwind of sand if it doesn't actually do any damage? Because once they're done, once the three Spider-Men are done making the plan, they just jump out through the sand, go out, and then the Sandman just drops the whirlwind of sand and reforms. Well, what was the point? Not only that, there's another scene where the Sandman grabs, I believe it's Toby. He grabs Toby, and Toby is stuck in the giant fist of sand. Okay? Now, here's the beautiful part. So, Sandman has Toby in the fist of sand. The scene then goes to Andrew and Tom fighting the other supervillains. While they're fighting the other supervillains, what's Sandman doing? Nothing. He's still just holding Toby. Because eventually the fight causes one of the girders to fall and disrupt Sandman's fist. But from when Sandman grabs Toby, for the next, 10, 20 seconds or whatever, while the other two Spider-Men are fighting, all Sandman is doing is holding him and doing nothing. The Sandman is literally holding him, waiting until the girder falls and disrupts the sand. It's like at least with the first Spider-Man movie, right, with Toby, right? At the end of that movie, when Toby Spider-Man is fighting Green Goblin, right? You see Toby, hurt and cut and his mask ruined, and like you can actually see that the fight took a toll on both of them. They're both weak. They're both tired. They're both hurt. But in this movie, in No Way Home, it doesn't matter what happens. Hell, in this movie, okay, Toby can be stabbed from the back through the chest, okay? And Andrew goes to him, "Are you all right?" And Toby goes, "No, I'm fine. I've been stabbed before." What? Like you built an immunity to being stabbed through the chest? That's not how it works. Like nothing has any. This movie is literally trying to actually downplay the effect of being stabbed through the chest with a sword, with a blade. Okay, like nobody. The only effect that Toby gets from being stabbed through the chest is it hurts. That's it. No bleeding, no damaged spleen or ruptured lung or any internal damage. No bleeding or anything. It just hurts a bit. It just hurts. Being stabbed through the chest just hurts. There's a movie called Plan 9 from Outer Space by Ed Wood, I believe, which is considered one of the worst movies in cinematic history. And that movie has more of a solid plot and less plot convenience than this movie. A movie that is considered one of the worst movies in cinematic history has a more coherent plot than than Spider-Man No Way Home. It's and the thing is, I still got more to go, but I don't care anymore. I'm done. I'm done. I've been doing this for what, over an hour, and and here's the worst part. I'm not even covering. I didn't even cover all of the little stuff. Other than where I talked about how Peter Parker finds out everybody knows he's Spider-Man and then goes to the apartment. Because I figured just covering the big stuff would be enough, and I'm still not done covering the big stuff. And I'm tapped out. This movie wins. The movie wins. There's just so much ridiculousness in this movie. I don't care anymore. I give up. The movie wins. And the thing is, it's not like all of you fans of this movie cared anyway, because all you really cared about was seeing 3 Spider-Men fighting a bunch of villains. The fact that the story's broken beyond any, salvageability is irrelevant to you guys. And I'm done. There's no point. For those of you that actually made it this far, thank you for making it this far. But I don't care anymore. I got to go eat something because I'm hungry. $1.8 billion. Oh, God. I'm out of here. See ya.